Tonight, I can report to the American people and to the world that the United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden, the leader of al-Qaeda.
Can you believe it? That was 10 years ago today when President Obama announced the U.S. had killed Osama bin Laden. Now, a decade later, Joe Biden now has pledged to pull all troops from Afghanistan by September 11th. But al-Qaeda is still proving to be a major threat to the West. The group saying, quote, just yesterday, war against the U.S. will be continuing on all other fronts unless they are expelled from the rest of the Islamic world. The former Navy SEAL who killed Osama bin Laden 10 years ago today, Rob O'Neill, joins me now. Rob, good morning. Great to see you. 10 years ago today, quite a different scene, yet you hear what al-Qaeda is saying. First of all, thanks again on behalf of a grateful nation for what you and those men did on that evening 10 years ago. But when you hear what al-Qaeda is continuing to say, what's your reaction?
Well, as always, great to talk with you, Pete. 10 years flies by. Amazing. I can still smell what it was like going up the stairs in Osama bin Laden's house. It's not as black and white as a lot of politicians try to make it. It should never have been, let's go in and let's surge and let's build schools. We should have kept a low presence in Jalalabad, places near the border of Pakistan, and in Bagram, where we can keep the Air Force in case we need to bomb these places. But, it's year of our Lord 2021. I just saw a video of a woman being stoned to death in Afghanistan because she tried to get out of a forced marriage. I don't think we're going to install Jeffersonian diplomacy and public schools. We wanted to get bin Laden. I'm really happy we got bin Laden. We sent a message that no matter who you are, how tough you think you are, we have men and women who will go get you, and we did. And it's not as simple as kill bin Laden, war's over, but we should have had troops out of Afghanistan right around 2004 when there was no such thing as an IED or a suicide bomber. But we just went in and we did what lately we always do. We lose wars.
Rob, you mentioned the smell of being inside the house. The impact. Just sit with me here real quick. 10 years later, what do you think the impact of that evening was?
I think the impact was there will never be closure for the people who lost so many people on 9/11, but it does help with the healing process. And I hear that from people all the time, everything from first responders to actually priests that were there, people who lost loved ones were on the phone when the phone was cut off because a plane slammed into the tower. It's one of those things, too. I can't even believe it happened. I just know the story. 10 years later, it's crazy, but it needed to be done. It needed Americans there to finish Osama bin Laden in his bedroom, and I was so fortunate to be that guy. But I was a member of one of the most amazing teams ever assembled, and it was a nothing but an honor to be asked to be a part of it, and I have no regrets about anything.
No doubt, the real dream team. Real quick, Rob, the Navy SEALs are reportedly shifting focus from counterterrorism in the Middle East to global threats like the Communist Chinese and Russia. What do you think about that reorientation?
Well, yeah, when we've been bogged down in Afghanistan and Iraq, China and Russia were building up. And it's just smart. The boss, Admiral Howard, one of the first guys I met when I checked into SEAL Team 6, is probably one of the few admirals who's been in the mud killing al-Qaeda, which he has. He makes the call. He was always big on saying we got to concentrate on the next ridge line. Don't get complacent. And we need, unfortunately, not unfortunately just because sometimes the water gets cold, the Navy SEALs should get back to their maritime roots because they're everything from the islands, the man-made islands China's putting up in the South Pacific to try to keep our footprint lower. We need to be faster, more agile. The Navy's got a lot of stuff as far as smaller, faster crafts. I'm not going to get into, but unfortunately, Navy SEALs need to get back to their roots because eventually it could come down to electronics where all of a sudden everything, including your iPhone and GPS, are off, and we need lead-lined slates and a map and compass.